What about you?
What about you? So anybody that doesn't know Dad, come on over. So my dad Chris is going to be joining me tonight, and we've got Shaun from Lawnright.
Hi, John.
Hi, Chris. How are you doing?
You know this guy, do you?
Yes.
I've seen him on. I've seen him on YouTube before.
So I've got one person watching. This is
probably me.
Oh, probably. So I'm just going to say, this is the first time I've done this. You've done a few lives before, Shaun. So you've done a few.
Yeah.
Yep. There you go. So you can do that. You can
DG.
do that. All right.
DG Lawn. Good evening.
Good evening.
Wow, there's a few coming on now.
Oh, happy days. Happy days.
Yeah. So, Robbie, can you see the comments then?
I can't. Let me see. Hold on. Top chat, live chat, all chats. They're coming and then they're going.
Right. I've got my laptop set up.
Good man.
Yeah, I can see the live chat on the right hand side, and I can see me.
Yep. That's
bit of a delay. Anyway, let me mute that one.
Have any questions there, Shaun? Has anybody got any questions?
So there will be some questions in here, but we've got some Simon from Lawnkeeper Newark. How are you doing? I was not far from there yesterday doing a renovation. Sean Breen says, well, guys, any tips on new builds? Clay gardens, terrible drainage. I had emailed Sean a few weeks ago about it. Sean from Down.
Move house. If you buy a new building and you move in and the lawn's terrible, move house again.
Oh dear. I'm on tea.
You're on tea. I have no drink at all. Like, this is terrible.
I've got to go and pick my son up later on. So Robbie, have you got any pointers on clay lawns?
Clay lawns really difficult. Just the only thing you can really do in clay lawns, and it is a slow, ongoing process, and that is just to add compost on a regular basis onto your lawn. I know you've been having a go with the gypsum. How's that been going for you?
Yeah, it's still early days, really. I've only started putting gypsum down in the last year, really. But it's one of them things. I've known about it, but since I've moved to where I am now, there's a fair bit more clay around this area.
Yep.
So yeah, just compost and gypsum, humic acid, apply on a regular basis, and in time it will improve the lawn. But it's never ever going to be an overnight fix, really. It's all about just mad, isn't it? Drainage.
Yep. What else have I got here? Johnny's garden maintenance. What about you, Johnny? How's things, mate? Mr. Tidy Garden. So what about all the gardeners in the chat? He's all super busy. I know my head's melted. March was so bad. The weather in March was so bad, and now the weather's good, and the phone's ringing off the hook, and people are saying, when are you coming? And you're like, yes, I've a list this long before I come and see you. I'm sure I know that there's a few other channels I've been listening to. We're all the same boat.
Right, I finished work literally 20 minutes ago, and I got in 10 minutes ago. Just made myself a cup of tea, fed the dog, and sitting down. So, we've got lots of questions, I'm sure we have. There's going to be questions coming up in this chat, but we have got a list of questions as well.
Yeah.
So, just have us a quickly, Johnny's garden maintenance. When would you decide to do a whole renovation instead of scarification? the way I see it, you can scarify and aerate, and that will be absolutely fine, and the lawn will recover and come back and be a nice lush lawn at some point in the future. Renovations get you like a brand new lawn, lots of new grasses going in. If it's starting to go thin, you should be thinking about overseeding. But I know lots of people who only ever scarify, who only ever aerate, and they all come back eventually. It's just how fast. Obviously, the thicker the lawn, the more it suppresses weeds.
For customers, for client work, a lot of that comes down to budget and what customers want to spend. Really, on your own lawn, you know, it's if you're doing the work yourself, then it's going to be a lot cheaper to throw the kitchen sink at it than to get somebody like me or Shaun in to do the work for you. So I think as well, you know, a lot of customers that don't want to spend the money in different bits. So it really just depends.
Yeah. It is. Like you say, it's all down to budget and what they can afford. Because for you to come in and scarify a lawn, you know, if it takes you 2 hours, you've got a certain amount of money you want to make. But then when they want it aerating, that's another amount of money. And then overseeding and obviously the price of top dressing and seed have all gone up quite a bit in the last year or two.
Yep. Big time.
So,
big time. Big time. Fertiliser prices have been a bit crazy the last 12 months.
Yeah. They are.
Does it make any difference to hollow tine versus solid tine? So I would say there a lot of that has got to do with whatever you're trying to achieve as well, you know. So if your garden has a lot of thatch, then that's whenever you'd think about hollow tine, and hollow tine's really good because you remove here comes Bella to join us. You remove a wee bit of thatch, and then the solid tine is more just about compaction. Bella, do you want to say hello to YouTube? Up. Come on up. There you go.
I don't think she's high enough.
It's not high enough. Can you guys do that?
See, come here.
Oh, there you go.
Huh? That's mine. What's this? No! Jumping loony. No. Yeah, what's this? Here, what's that? Right, go on then. Get back on there. Anyway, it's just so hard to keep up with all the questions. Top dressing in the UK, £165 a tonne. Yeah, the stuff from field compost. I think they're about 40 kilogram bags. But yeah, you won't be far off at that sort of price. If you go, the last couple of days, I went and bought 20 bags of multi-purpose compost from Wicks, and in the Landsy spreader, it is really, really good. Oh, it takes all the crap out. Ooh, pardon my French, but it takes all the rubbish out of the compost, and then it just puts a nice, good layer onto the lawn. So I found it to be very cost-effective as well. A lawn, I was expecting to put maybe 10 or 15 bags. I think I put 4 or 5 down. So it's still like 60 quid because it's £12 a bag. That's 100 litres, by the way.
I think what a lot of people don't realise with compost and like buying a ton bag of stuff, a lot of that price most of the time is haulage. To get like a ton bag to you, it's always expensive, and a lot of companies would build that into the price. So sometimes, like a lot of people would ask me for the top dressing materials, but the quarry that it comes from is quite far down the road, and to get it to you, it can make it quite expensive to get good stuff. And I would say the same with the field compost. I'd say a lot of that stuff is, you know, a lot of the charge is actually haulage, which maybe a lot of people don't see.
Yeah. I usually get a couple of pallets at a time. Sometimes they can use their own truck. Sometimes they use the pallet network, TPN. I don't know the cost, but I get it delivered to my house, and we've got a bit of a slope on the drive. And most of the time, they can't get it up the drive. And every time I ring up and I say, look, can we have an electric pallet truck? Oh, yeah, never does. But blow me, last week they came with an electric pallet truck, so we got two pallets up there.
Oh, happy days! I'm going to give a wee. I'm going to give a wee shout out to Mrs. Hume, who watches all watches all our lawn care videos. Mr. Tidy Garden. It's a dog's life. It certainly is a dog's life at times. I struggle with time difference between overseeding and fertilizing. Am I overthinking it? Should I wait 4 weeks after germination? There's two trains of thought on a plant fertilizer whenever you're seeding. The way we do it is we put down the fertilizer whenever we're seeding. Some people will tell you that you should actually wait for the seed to germinate. A little seed has got enough life in it to pop without you adding any fertilizer to it. Some people believe that whenever you put on the fertilizer, whenever you're seeding, then those nutrients can lock up in the soil. And then whenever the plant eventually pops out of its little thing and grows into a seed, then the product you put on might have actually locked up. But that's the way we do it. I would always say to put on the fertilizer at the same time as whenever you're doing the seeding. But there is another train of thought there that some people will do it 2 weeks afterwards. But I wouldn't say that you're overthinking it, and you can do it either way. That's and in lawn care, lots of things is just trial and error. Shaun will tell you that as well. You know, just seeing what works and what doesn't work.
Right, just gonna. I got some questions on the community post I put on. So Daniel W says, amazing combination. You're both my go-to for lawn care videos. Any recommendations on topsoil providers? And also any tips for the following, as I need to level out my lawn on quite a large scale as it's very slanted and bumpy. Topsoil, you just want screened topsoil.
Screened topsoil.
Yeah, you're just going to end up with stones, bits of glass, and all sorts in there. Excuse me. So the more you can screen it, sorry.
Yeah. Sorry, no, go ahead. If you can get them.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Sorry.
The more screened, the better. And then reasonably sandy soil will obviously help more with the leveling process. On a large scale, you just simply need more soil, but build your layers up slowly. So add an inch and then firm that layer down, then add another inch, firm that layer down. If you're just doing dips, then obviously you want to get it into the dip, work it in, and just, like I said, just keep building those layers up.
What I would say is that if you're going to be buying 5 or 10 tons of topsoil, and again, topsoil comes down to haulage costs and where you live, so you can never really recommend suppliers on YouTube. You just need to phone around your local quarries. But what I would say, if you were going to be using 5 or 10 or 15 tons of topsoil, then I would say at that stage to go to 70-30. But trying to get a decent 70-30 in small amounts can be really tricky, because a lot of the commercial quarries that supply that sort of stuff, they're not set up to cater to small gardens. So the place where I get the USDA sand from, they don't have any lorries with a tail lift in the back. So the only way they can get it here is bring it on a lorry and tip it off, and that's going to be quite expensive for a small amount. So that's what I'd sort of say. You know, it can be very, very difficult to get. A lot of people are always asking, where can I get good quality topsoil? But it can be really difficult unless you have a good quarry near you. But that's just, my thing would be just to go on to Google and phone around and just ask the quarries. Just go directly to them. If you're going to be buying small amounts, then a good builder's merchant will get you. Most good builders merchants will sell a ton bag of topsoil, screened topsoil. But if you're going to be doing an awful lot of it, then 70-30 is the way to go.
Okay.
That's what I go with.
Right, I've got another question here from Jace Hill. I wonder if renovating and feeding the lawn actually helps some of the weed grasses. I've scarified and reseeded 3 times in the last 20 months, and each time the weed grasses have increased. Undoubtedly, my lawn is generally a lot healthier than before I became a lawn bore, but I'm now thinking that my small lawn used by the dog and in shade from October till February might not be best suited to regular renovating. This year, I'm only going to rake the lawn, and I'd be interested to hear yours and Robbie's thoughts.
Do you want to go first, or?
I think the weed grasses will scatter seeds, and those seeds can remain dormant in the ground for many years. And yes, you can disturb them. It's just one of those things, really. That's as much as I know on that topic, to be fair.
My thoughts on the weed grasses is, and I hear it a lot, and I hear it a lot even with my customers, because they start to watch my channel and then they get into their lawn care and they're going, all of a sudden, all these weed grasses have appeared on my lawn from nowhere. And they're like, they've always been there. Just you know what to look for now. And now you see them. Whenever you see them, you can't unsee them. So a lot of people will sow different grasses into their lawns and then they'll put down a really strong fertilizer and they'll blow it out of the ground and they'll go, that seed is absolutely fantastic. When in actual fact, it's probably the fertilizer that they put on. Whenever you overseed your lawn, the seeds or the grass that was in your lawn, that's not going anywhere. That's staying there. And the new seed has to compete with it, if you like. So a lot of people would overseed their lawn and expect, they'll go out and they'll buy that really high-end grass seed. They'll throw it on, and then they'll throw on a load of fertilizer, and then they'll go, that new grass seed, that's amazing. Where in actual fact, it's probably because they're maybe putting on a lot of dwarf rye and all that carry on, and the dwarf rye don't tend to grow as big. So the existing grass is already there, and then the new grass will kick in, but the fertilizer they put on has greened it up more than the new grass seed as such. So that's just something I would sort of think about if you're going to be overseeing your lawn. And the weed grasses, although we'll recommend that overseed all the time, those weed grasses, they're always going to be there regardless. So whenever you're overseeding, it's all you're really doing is slowing it down, thickening it up. You're going to help stop weeds from coming into your lawn. I always say to people, it's all me and Shaun do is we just create the conditions for the grass as opposed to the grass that you do want as opposed to the grass you don't want. That's just lawn care.
I've been training my dog to go and do a wee on the weed grasses. doing a great job.
That's definitely a sort I want to see. That's definitely a sort I want to see.
It's nothing's ever going to grow there again, I tell you. Right, so I bet there's 500 questions on the chat. I'll just see if there's any more on here. Opinion on products like Evergreen Complete. And then it's just a similar question regarding do you still need to do a renovation, etc., etc. So, no, you don't need to do a renovation every single year. You don't even need to scarify every year. If you want a nice lawn, then you do all of these things. You do as many as you can do. But you don't have to. A lot of my customers, and I'm talking 75-80% of my customers, don't do anything. They don't even mow it regular. And it looks okay. It's green. There's no weeds in there. But it's never going to be Wimbledon unless they start putting more into it. So regular mowing, obviously, if you scarify regularly, keep the thatch levels down. Aeration, just to improve the drainage, relieve compaction, etc. Regarding the 4-in-1s, I genuinely have no problem with them. I've never used them because I've always used professional products, but I have no problem with them. I think they serve a purpose in the
100%.
domestic market.
100%. I think the only problem people put them on and then they seed their lawns and then they say that the seed's not growing. If you just know that all the fertilizers have a place, the problem with the cheaper fertilizers is you put them on and you get that big rush of growth right away because the fertilizer just instantly releases, and for 4 weeks you have this really green lawn. Whereas with the controlled release products that we would tend to use, you put it on and you get that nice controlled release over 9 to 10 weeks. That's the sort of difference. But horses for courses, But there's nothing wrong with using a weed and feed. It just but you are just going to get that initial growth, for about 4 weeks, and then it's going to be gone. If you get a load of rain, it's going to be gone even sooner because it's going to leach out. But
sorry, Robbie, I was just laughing at a comment from Mixed Mowers, the mower man.
Oh,
question
Mick?
for Rob. Yeah, I'll let you read that one.
Oh, go ahead. Throw it right there.
Right. Question for Robbie. How do you find time to do gardens now you're a celebrity? Do your customers lay out the red carpet for when you come round?
Definitely not a celebrity. Still like cutting grass every day. I was out cutting grass today, so and there was definitely no red carpets for me anywhere. But Jason, my new helper or colleague, brought me in buns today, so that was pretty good. Yeah, he definitely got a thumbs up for that one. Mick, what about you? Your channel's going quite well. What about you? Mick helped me get over 1,000 subscribers back in the day. Didn't you, Mick? Good lad.
Right. Quick question. Jordan E. He may only be able to tune in for the first 20 minutes. Asks, what is the best way to deter foxes and cats from digging holes and leaving presents behind in lawns?
You can't really do anything about foxes and badgers and all that carry on. I don't know. I'm going to say no. There's not really anything you can do about animals coming into your garden. Unfortunately, that's just one of those things. Have you any thoughts on that?
Other than the sensors that connect to your hose pipe, and when they see something walking across, they jet out some water. I've seen one of those on a Facebook video a few years ago, and I was laughing my head off. You just leave it in the corner, someone walks past, it'll shoot water out, and obviously they don't want to do it. I'm trying to think back through some of the comments on some of my recent. Sorry,
I think there's sensors for cats that you can put out that are meant to be quite good. I know a few customers recommend them to have to put the sensors out, and it just works off a certain frequency that the cats don't like. But as for badgers and foxes and stuff, you're really not meant to do anything.
Right. 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 Just keep talking. I'm going to find a comment.
No bother.
If you can. What's the weather like?
I'm gonna shout out a couple of guys. We've got OCD Lawn Care. Thanks very much for joining us. Brett, thanks very much for joining us. Funky Duck Productions, thank you for joining us. We've got Mick S'mores, the legend. Mick, guys, make sure to check out Mick's channel. If you want to know how to fix your lawnmower, make sure to check out his channel because he puts out some really good things. Mick, no bother at all. You're a gentleman, mate. You're a gentleman. How are you getting on with that robotic lawnmower? Best non-commercial weed killer. Unfortunately, I'm actually really not up to speed with weed killers because, well, with domestic weed killers, because a bit like Shaun, I don't use them. You're actually not allowed to use them on a professional basis if you're not allowed to use them on a professional basis. So the domestic weed killers don't really know anything about. And one of the reasons why I don't talk about professional weed killers is in different countries around the world, like Canada, there's certain parts of Canada where there's a lot of chemicals off the market altogether for professionals and for domestic users. And there's going to get this stage here in the UK where they're all the time they're trying to remove chemicals from sale, and it's actually a real. I'm going to give a wee shout out to the Lawn Care Association. or the UK Lawn Care Association, they got together with the likes of Green Thumb and Green Sleeves, and they lobby the government to try and keep a certain amount of chemicals there for professional users, and they're tied in with golf clubs and sports turf, and there's a lot of things going on in the background. So one of the reasons why I don't talk about any professional weed killers at all, because I don't think it's prudent to educate people that aren't trained in how to use it. So let's say, for example, you get a weed killer and you go and spray your lawn, but you accidentally spray a river beside you, and before you know it, you've polluted a river with a lot of stuff. Or let's say, for example, you buy a professional weed killer and you have it stored in your garage, and you have a fire, and the firemen come along to put out your house blaze, and all of a sudden that chemical that's stored unsecurely, that's a real danger to them. So there's a lot of stuff with professional, to get off my soapbox, there's a lot of stuff with professional weed killers that people maybe don't really think about, but that's all I'm going to sort of say about it. I don't want to get on a soapbox, but I'm going to give a wee shout out to the guys at the UK Lawn Care Association, because they've been working behind the scenes trying to lobby the government with different bodies to make sure that the likes of me and you, Shaun, have the professional products there and they don't go off the market anytime soon.
Yeah, so that's what's happening.
That's just a wee tidbit that goes on. So have we got to take it back down a step? Have any more questions, Shaun?
Just going back to the question about deterring foxes and cats. I found this comment, and it's from someone that comments on my videos quite a lot. I don't know if I should say the name. I don't know if they'd appreciate the name. But basically, right, hang on, I've got to read this. So I have a cat sensor. I also have CCTV. The sensor clips as cats approach. First 3 days, they ran away. Over the next week, they slowly worked out where it came from and got braver. I then put a bottle of Fred and Flo baby shampoo into my Miracle Grow feeder and sprayed my fences, paths, and most of all my lawns. One of two things happened. They jumped onto the high fence at the rear of the property, seemed to smell the fence, and immediately retreated to where they came from. On the front of my property, they would quickly trot across the lawn, then stop when they heard the clicking. Their head and body lowered, looking at the sensor. Suddenly their heads raised and ran away. So basically now no cats come to the rear of the property, and every cat at the front pays no attention to my property, but they all walk by exactly 1 meter from the fence. So 3 things have been gained. No cat poo or pee. My lawn smells so fresh.
That's what I was going to say. I bet you that garden smells lovely.
Yeah, you just rub your hair in it and off you go. So yeah, baby shampoo is
quite a sort of unique way to.
Yeah, baby shampoo's a little bit like a wetting agent.
Yep.
If you don't want to buy a wetting agent, you could put a splash of baby shampoo in with some water, and that will just help break down the surface tension and let things drain through. But it's interesting to hear if it would actually work for more than one person to deter cats and things and have a nice smelling lawn.
Yep. And then an interesting one day. I'd say there'll be a few people who'll be trying after watching this here. They'll be down to Lidl buying the baby shampoo.
I've got some. Well, my partner's got some Head and Shoulders upstairs. I might go and get that. I'm kidding. Right, so I'll just see if there's any more questions. I think we can switch to some of the questions now on this chat.
Do you think it's worth paying for battery-powered equipment or staying with the old petrol? There's one for you, Shaun.
Sorry, can you repeat that? I didn't understand your Irish.
I need the subtitles. I need the subtitles in this video too. Do you think you should stay with battery powered or go? Do you think you should stay with petrol or go with battery powered?
I like the idea of battery power. It's quieter. It's better for the environment. It's not a bad thing, is it, really? It's not a bad thing. Some of the commercial ones are now good enough to go all day, but I think you might need a couple of extra batteries. I've still got petrol, and I will run them into the ground. And when it's time to buy new, I will consider it if I feel it's worthwhile. But I'm on the line with it, to be fair, because at the end of the day, what are they going to do with the batteries? Surely it costs money and the environmental issues in making batteries. I don't know enough about them, to be honest.
I'm going to say there might be some battery gear around here. Well, there might be some battery gear around here. For bigger tools, scarifiers, etc., I think this is going to be petrol for quite a while still. For smaller machines, so I was out cutting today, and we had all the Milwaukee kits. So we had the lawnmower, the strimmer, and the blower, which all worked really well. We had a couple of M18. We went through 4 M18 12 amp hour batteries on a day's cut. So you can definitely run a business on all battery. But for the likes of the bigger tools and like a backpack blower and stuff, you need the power there, the 2-stroke. You need the power there, the petrol to push it through. I think I know there are some batteries that there are some brands out there with some pretty good strong batteries for the likes of the blowers and stuff. But if you want to do lawn renovations, you definitely still need 2-stroke, 100%. And then for the likes of the scarifiers and stuff, you definitely need you need it for the power, the petrol for the power. But batteries is definitely, you can see it taking over all the time.
Yeah,
that would be my. So I'm on the water. The last time I did one, I had a Guinness, but I'm on the water tonight. How times have changed. Any more questions?
That is bizarre. Ignore me.
Whereabouts is Shaun?
Wormcast.
The bane of everyone's life these days. There's nothing again. Wormcast, there's very little you can do about wormcast now. The greenkeeper's switch or the greenkeeper's rod is probably your best bet, or running a loot over the lawn or whatever. Or the drag mat is good at breaking them up, but your hands are sort of tied these days with worms. There's not.
Worms are good.
Yeah,
worms are good. Worms are good. They're just a pain at times. Just more in the winter than anything else, But finding ways to deal with them with the drag mat.
When obviously they're wet and sticky on clay lawns, you can't really. I always thought you couldn't really just brush them off or anything, but the guy that won Britain's Best Lawn in 2017, Stuart Grindle, I went and aerated his lawn for him. He had got a switch, and he switched them all off in about 5 minutes on his lawn. And I didn't think it would work because it was a very wet, damp morning, but it got them off absolutely fine. So, but obviously he cuts his lawn really short. So if it's cut really short, a switch may just work. But you've got to be cutting it short on a regular basis, or you're going to stress things out. So what other questions have we got? Yes. So we're talking, DG Law Maintenance says, have you tried Purity? So Purity is a soil conditioner, and I used it a bit last year, but it didn't seem to do much. I tried it on a customer's lawn that suffers a lot with wormcast. It didn't seem to do much. Then I got an email off a guy who applied Purity at double dose, and it seemed to work. It seemed to have an effect. So Purity soil conditioner, put it on really heavy and see how it goes. I believe it's an irritant and brings them up to the surface, and then you can just get them off. But other than that, there isn't really any products that I'm currently aware of that will.
And what's your thoughts, Shaun, on turf solve for what's your thoughts on turf solve about leather jackets and all that carry on?
I like it, but it's not 100%. But then again, nematodes are not 100%.
Yeah.
The days have gone from having 100% effective ways to kill grubs in the lawn. So I always say to my customers, look, you've got this issue. You can try turf solve, put it on after 3 days, then keep applying it once a month through the year. It will give the nutrients to the plant to make it stronger and able to withstand attacks a little better. But it's not 100%, but it's all right. I've had people emailing me saying it does work, and then equally other people saying they have no joy from using it. Nematodes will work under the right conditions, but you really got to get them down through any layers of thatch into the soil. So it's better to scarify and aerate, then apply your nematodes. Then you've got to water every single day for 2 weeks. It's a bit of a carry-on, and if you've got to scarify and aerate. So there's pros and cons to both. To me, the only real solution is the black tarpaulin. Soak your lawn at night, put your tarpaulin down in one section of your lawn, lift it off in the morning. Hopefully some grubs will have come up to the surface. Take them off, brush them off, whatever, and repeat. And every few days, do a different section on your lawn and just keep doing that. That's as much as I can say, really, other than a landmine.
For part of the seaweed video, I interviewed a doctor called Dr. Deborah Cox, and she specializes in nematodes and all things like that. And what she suggested was, she says that the nematodes have a very specific window for them to work, and there's heat maps. So if you want to use nematodes, a lot of the big manufacturers will bring out a heat map. So around the UK, there's only like a 2 or 3 week window whenever they properly actually work, and you have to put them on. And as Shaun says, water them in. She sort of indicated to me that they work really well in the autumn if you can time it right. It's all about timing it right, getting them just whenever they're laying the eggs. There's only like a 2 or 3 week window whenever the eggs are at their very smallest point. And then she said exactly what Shaun said there. In the spring, go out and really soak the grass the night before, really properly soak it, and then put down the black polythene. And whenever they come up, either mow them off or gather them up or brush them off the lawn. Do whatever you can, throw them in the bin and get rid of them. If you leave them laying on the lawn, or if you put them into a flower bed nearby, then you might find that they make their way back into the lawn. So that's what she had sort of said with the leather jackets. There's a very small window where they work really well, but you have to water them really well in. Really well in. You can, a lot of times I'd say to the customer, you have to water the lawn, put the sprinkler on for half an hour, and that's not really enough. You need to soak the lawn for 2 or 3 days to get them down in.
And talking of timings as well and heat maps and things, I think weather patterns have changed, and right through winter I have seen chafer grubs active, and they shouldn't really be there at that time of the year. They're more sort of April and May. The beetle comes out, finds a male beetle, and off they go into a bush and do what they've got to do. Female comes and lays her eggs. 2 weeks later they hatch, and then they start to feed. Typically May time and through the summer. And then when it gets cold, they go further down. But because it was mild last year, even in December, because I had a nice green lawn in December, they were still there. And they were still there in January as well. So it's a bit funny. You can't put certain times as easily, I don't think. I agree on the autumn one, but for the chafer grubs, don't know. They're up and about at different times.
We don't have in Northern Ireland, thanks to St. Paddy, we don't have snakes or chafer dogs or chafers. We only have leather jackets. So I've never come across a safer in the lawns. We've come across plenty of leather jackets, but not too many safers, thankfully.
I'm going to bring you some.
No, thanks.
Oh, dear. Are you sure you're not drinking vodka?
I wish I was.
Oh, right. Dave Han, can you cut the lawn every day, just taking the tips off, or does it stress the lawn? Yes, you can cut your lawn every day, just take the tips off. Then most of the energy that has been created by the sun is still there within the plant, stored, and basically you're not stressing the plant. Yes, you are going on the lawn more. Yes, you are compacting the ground a bit more, but you will have a much better lawn as a result if you mow more often.
I'm going to give a wee shout out to the Lord of the Fridge. I said, Robbie, what side should the homemade drag mat be made? It doesn't matter. Use whatever side you want. Doesn't matter.
Graham Macklem, he says more regular mowing around the time they start laying can help. Yeah, I get that, because that's if they are just in and around the blades of grass and not fully gone down, then obviously you're better to kill a few off. If you're mowing regular, that's my thinking on that.
Somebody's asking about cutting your grass every day. Well, if you think a golf course cuts your grass every day, so what I would sort of say is, if an ordinary lawn, if you're cutting an ordinary lawn every day, then that's probably going to be too much. But the shorter you're cutting your grass, Dave, means the more often you're cutting it. So a golf course might cut their grass at 3 mil or 3.5 mil or 3.75 mil, which is crazy, you know, to cut it within a hundredth of a millimeter. That's how accurate it is. But it's important that those guys are cutting every day, because again, if you think about the 1/3 rule, little and often. But if you're cutting your own lawn, an average lawn is once a fortnight or once every 10 days. If you're going to be fertilizing your lawn, well, then you're probably looking at once every 10 days. If you're looking at cylinder mowing, then you're probably going to be looking a wee bit more. But a lot of that will depend on what you're cutting at, what you're feeding at, the heights of cut that the lawn's been cut at. So just different strokes for different lawns, really. Have I any experience with the web push mower? I haven't used it personally. I've seen a couple of guys on Instagram use them, and they look like quite a good job for what they are, you know. And again, so that would come into little and often. If you were going to be using that, then you'd want to be using that at least every couple of days just to stay on top of the growth.
I fancy a nice new mower. I do.
And what do you think, John? Have you any thoughts on it?
I don't know. But something that's, you know, decent really. With my cylinder mower cost me £40. I got it off Facebook Marketplace, and this guy selling it on Facebook, £40 cylinder mower. I went along, picked it up. He turned up on his push bike and went round the back of this house. He said, "Here it is." I thought, "Oh yeah, this is a bit dodgy." Anyway, he says, "No, it's my mum's house." Anyway, we fired it up and it worked great. So that cost me £40. But I want something better, something with a lot more adjustment. But to do that, I want to make my lawn a lot flatter and use a different grass, like a bent grass. I would like to go for a full bent grass at some point, but I can't do that just yet. I haven't got a lot of time to do the amount of work that's required. Maybe
I'm going to interrupt you there and say Wimbledon is 100% dwarf rye, so that's an option for you. You know, unless you're looking for the golf course, then I'd only say to somebody use bent if you're going to. Maybe that's what you want. Maybe you want to go for the golf course, but with the likes of Wimbledon and stuff is 100% dwarf rye now. So that's just going to throw that in there.
Well, you know, my lawn is currently 100% dwarf rye.
Yep.
And I'm nobody knows this yet, but I'm going to kill my lawn off soon, and then I'm going to reseed it with the same again, dwarf rye. I don't know about the bent. It's only been since I went on Stuart Grindle's lawn. It just feels amazing. It's so short, and it feels really strange underfoot. It's really nice.
Yeah.
Try it one day. You know, it's.
You said nobody knows. I think a few people know now. You said.
Okay, what else have we got? So we've got about 10 minutes left. I need to come off in about 10 minutes. Adam G says, if anyone can give me a free Alec Kensington mower, I would greatly appreciate it. Adam, I can't. Sorry. If I had one, you could have it.
Have we any other questions? I get the kids to drive around. I get the kids to drag a pallet around. The next time I'll be doing some top dressing soon. If you want to send them to mine, that'll be great. After applying iron after scarification, how long does it take for the lawn to recover from going black with a bit of moss left in it? A lot of that's going to come down to how much iron you use and the length of the grass and the weather, and lots of things play into that. I'd always sort of say that the grass turning black, it's nearly a good thing, you know. After it turns black, it always turns that lovely dark shade of green that we all crave.
I've got a story for you. So 22 to 25 years ago, I worked for a big, well-known lawn care company. And in my first few months, I went and put some iron sulfate on someone's lawn. And I got the dosage a little bit wrong. And the lawn literally turned black.
Yep.
Black. All the grass was black. It took weeks. It took weeks. Anyway. Sweet Pete, new to lawn maintenance, so apologies, had a couple of weeds and moss in the garden. Treated it, but now left with brown patches. Do I need to cut them out? Have you put the wrong weed killer on, Sweet Pete? If it's got glyphosate in the ingredients, then you put a total killer on, which will kill anything that is plant-based, pretty much. After 2 or 3 weeks, the glyphosate would have broken down in the soil, making it safe to reseed. I would dig them out, put some more soil in, and then reseed or get a piece of turf and just put that on. So Brett Suck, if I wear wellies and waterproof trousers to cut the lawn, does it make my bum look big? What about you?
What about you?
Oh.
Don't have to really watch this later. Have we tried Mobacter? I've tried Mobacter before, and it made the lawn lovely and green, and that's what it did. It worked for a short space of time. It made the lawn nice and green, but I didn't really see any other effects from it. That's all I'm going to say about it.
I've never used it, but isn't it supposed to eat thatch?
It is. I've never experienced it. I've used it in the past, and somebody says to me I wasn't put it on high enough, so it really lasted on the lawn, and it made it lovely and green, but it didn't. The moss was still there. The moss didn't go. The moss and the thatch didn't go anywhere.
Yeah, I think it would take a while because obviously I think it's in the name. I was thinking about this morning actually, because somebody else was asking me about Milwaukee, and increasing the organisms in the soil and getting the balance right is the key to healthy soils and more organic approach. I would like to go an organic route in the future. But obviously increasing the bacteria, and then certain bacteria will thrive on thatch. I don't know enough about it to properly talk about it, but it's interesting to me because I would like to get away from chemicals. where possible. But at the moment, you can't tackle everything.
As a lot of my viewers will know, I'm a big fan of seaweed, and I think seaweed's one of the best things you can stick in your lawn. A lot of something whenever I'm talking about seaweed, a lot of companies sell seaweed, but they don't put it on the packet how much seaweed's in it. So if you're buying a seaweed at £2 or £3, you have to think about the amount of the cost to put that product in the bottle and distribute it out there, and the cost of selling it and everything else. I wonder how much seaweed is actually in a bottle that maybe costs £3 from your hardware store. Whereas a lot of the seaweeds we use, it's like 50 or 60 quid a jar, which is considerably more expensive than a lot of stuff you see in the garden centres and stuff. So what I would say is, if you're going to be using seaweed, always have a read of the label and see how much product is actually on it.
I liked your video, Robbie, actually, where you went to the seaweed farm. Do they really collect it all by hand, or don't they have machines now which will harvest?
No. It's all done by hand. It was really interesting. We tried to make that video for 3 years, but because of COVID, we couldn't. They kept getting cancelled and put back and stuff. But I spent about 2 weeks. I spent about 2 weeks making that video in total, driving up and down to Donegal 2 or 3 times, or driving up and down Donegal 2 times, and then we filmed Dr. Cox as well in Belfast. So we must have driven 500 or 600. Me and my dad went on a trip around Ireland. We must have driven about 500 or 600 miles to make a video, which is a bit crazy. But I learned tons and tons and tons from making it. It was really interesting. But yeah, they gather it all by hand, and a lot of it, back to seaweed and buying seaweed off other people. A lot of companies would buy seaweed from the west coast of Ireland, because I suppose it's so easy it's sustainable. It's sustainable.
Yeah. So Dave Hammer, I use fish blood bone for lawn treatments.
That's quite old fashioned. I've never used it, but that's quite old fashioned to use the fish bone.
Yeah, I've had customers coming up to me saying, "Oh, I've put some of this on, and it's made it lovely and green." So nothing surprises me anymore these days.
Yep.
John Paul Kelly, when is the latest time to scarify in spring? Should I go at it now? It was done last spring with aeration.
Do you want to go first to that, Shaun?
Yeah. So you want the grass actively growing. So we need to be getting into spring where the temperature's typically at least 7 or 8 degrees, typically. Even if it's growing slow, it'll still recover, although slower. As we get into late spring, it's growing more vigorously because it's warmer, so it recovers faster. Still takes about 6 weeks, and you've still got to water. For me, personally, middle of May is a good cut-off to allow for 6 weeks after of recovery with watering. If you do it in summer, so scarifying puts a stress on the lawn. If you do it in summer when it's already under stress, you're adding a lot of stress to that lawn, and it's going to go white. It's just going to look awful, and it's going to take forever to recover. And there's a strong chance that once you get past all the summer, there'll be some damage because the grass has suffered from all the heat. And then you end up with bare patches and things where you've got to reseed.
We would be the same. So in here in Belfast, I don't actually start, if we have to overseed lawns, I don't actually start scarifying until May for seeding. So if I'm going to be seeding lawns, because we can get frost right up, you can get a hard frost right up until the start of May, and you can't really forecast that. So I'd always, for my own lawn, we seeded in the middle of April, but that would be the very early for me. I think as well, running up to about the middle of May. Now, a lot of that will also depend on a lot of that will depend on the customer and if they're going to be happy to water the lawn or not. But you can certainly scarify right up until about the middle of May, and then because it's going to get dry, you want to put a rain there for some recovery. I think the window it also depends where you live in the UK. So the window can be where in the southeast of England, Scarfan season would be totally different than what we have here in Belfast. And then I get a lot of comments from people like in Scotland and stuff saying, "Oh, I did my lawn renovation in March and the grass hasn't grown." Well, no, that's not really surprising because it maybe it's a bit early, folks. But you have to sort of think about your own weather locally. So if you're watching YouTubers like me and Shaun, and people are doing lawn renovations at different times, you have to just think about the own weather close to you, because the UK's the weather's so different in the southeast of England compared to here in Belfast.
Yeah. I'm thinking of buying a place in America and a place in Australia.
On those YouTube dollars.
Earn those YouTube dollars, but then I can carry on scarifying when it's winter over here. Anyway, so what else have we got? Live chat.
My ducks keep my lawn nice and green.
How do you
get rid of annual meadow grass? There's grass called blue circle, and you put it on. It's like dust. Blue circle cement. You turn your grass into paving, and no more annual meadow grass. Boom boom.
Someone's going to do that.
No, don't do that. Don't do that.
Yeah, what happened to Daniel? Staffordshire Lawn Care Company's asking.
Daniel's an employee. Daniel was an employee, and he's no longer an employee. We left in good terms, and that's all I can really say. You can't. Yep.
Okay. Alex Murray says, "How, guys, do you get rid of a fairy ring?"
Forking and wetting agents is the way I'd go. Try and get the wetting agents down into the soil, and always just forking to try and help with that. Now, yeah. I'm gonna say as well. So whenever I interviewed the guy up at Ballylifton Golf Course, the greenkeeper up there had said that whenever he first went there 25 years ago, the greens were covered in fairy rings, and they found seaweed was a really big thing in turning the greens around. So that's another little tidbit. What do you?
Yeah, I didn't know that seaweed. So that's interesting.
I'm hoping to get back up to Ballylifton to do another video. They've invited me up, so leave me a comment down below what you'd like us to cover if we go to there. That's a Links Golf Course. So I haven't really filmed at Links Golf Courses before, which is they're a wee bit different than the parklands. So if you want us to cover different stuff at Ballylifton, leave me a comment down below and let me know, and we'll try and work it into a video.
Just regarding the fairy rings, same as you, Robbie, telling people to fork, and then I've always said get a bowl of warm water with washing up liquid in, something you've washed the pots or out of the bath, and just keep throwing it on so it goes down the holes. More recently, I had an inkling about applying turf solve, and went on 2 customers' lawns. One customer didn't apply it regular, and she said it never worked. I think she did it once, and she got a free bottle off of me. The other customer, he got a free bottle, and he put it on, and he did say it has helped. So, but seaweed is obviously going to be a lot more cost effective, I think, than regular turf solve. But that's as much as I can say because I don't know enough.
I'd like to have I think I'll probably have a go myself with the turf solve because of some different things I'd like to try it out.
Yeah.
So, have any other questions?
Leather jackets. SMF1. 5 years of lawn ruined by leather jackets. I put 15 treatments of nematodes and watered in weeks after. When are you putting them down? SMF1. When are you putting them down? Robbie was just saying earlier about timing. You've got a very short window. So basically, when you see the daddy long legs flying around, that is the point where they're flying around and looking for a mate. And then they're going to go into the grass and lay their eggs. So I would leave it a week after seeing the daddy long legs flying around and then look to apply nematodes, even 2 weeks. So that, twice a year when I see them mating, SMF1. Yeah. So it's use nematodes. You could try the turf solve.
This time of year, the black plastic, 100% the black plastic.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm gonna share something. In fact, I've got a few things. These are things what I've kept in here, which I was keeping for future videos. A year ago, a customer had got grubs in the lawn, and I put her a wetting agent on. The next day, she rang me up. She's saying, I've got all these things. They're clinging to the top of the grass. And they'd come up out of the grass and they were clinging to the top of the grass. So they didn't like the wetting agent. So I'm thinking that the environment is not hospitable. So it's an environment they don't really want to be in. They want to move and feed. And if you've got a sticky wetting agent in there, like emerald green, then hey,
tell the customers about emerald green, Shaun. Tell the customers about emerald green. Go ahead.
Lawnright.co.uk. Get on there.
What is tell the guys, tell the folks about what emerald green is. Go on, let's.
Okay. It's a tonic. It's got some wetting agent in there, but it's got some other things in there which help with the health of the plant. But suffice to say, it helps. So the wetting agent helps a bit in winter with drainage, but not a lot, but it helps a little bit because it's breaking down that surface tension. In the summer, if your lawn typically goes brown a lot, put a wetting agent on, and it doesn't have to be emerald green. It could be any wetting agent. It could be Fred and Flo's baby shampoo in water. Put it on. It will help water get down. My emerald green will keep water around the roots, so you don't have to water as much. But if it still goes brown, it means it won't die. It'll still come back because a lot of lawns have died when we've had the heat waves. That is emerald green. I'm not here to sell it, to push it, or anything. Now, back to them, the other thoughts in my head. I'm nearly done, by the way. I do talk a lot. So, besides the wetting agent going onto the lawn, I came across something a few years ago using garlic. Okay, if you can spray some garlic onto the lawn, they don't like that, apparently. I haven't been able to test it enough to prove it. One more thing you guys can try is alcohol.
Like beer.
All right. Beer, cider, get the cheap stuff. You don't need anything fancy. Certainly not Guinness. Unless you want to use your Guinness and
one for them,
one for
the large targets, one for yourself.
Just don't get mixed up which one.
Do you know the only problem? Do you know the only problem with that, Shaun? Whenever you put the beer onto the lawn, it ends up coming up half cut. But sorry about that, folks. Couldn't resist that.
No, that's a good one. Apparently, they can't digest the sugars in the alcohol. So if you've got grubs, give it a shot. Just get 1 can into a watering can with some water, fill it up, put it on, bit of a watering in. See how you get on. Let me know. And if it works, I will do a full video the next time on someone's lawn and we can test it.
Is cotton better or So is cutting better or feed better to thicken the lawn? I'd say both. So whenever you cut your lawn, it tillers and it thickens up naturally. So, and then whenever you feed it, it's going to help push that on. Do both, and you're going to get nice thick lawn. I wouldn't say one versus the other. I wouldn't say if you cut your lawn all the time, you're going to have a thicker lawn, or if you feed your lawn, you're going to have a thicker lawn. It's doing things in equal measures, but creating the conditions you want for the grass, and you're going to get a healthier lawn. That'll be
Scarifying, aerating as well. The more you put in, the more you get out.
Yep, 100%.
Right. Is there any last questions? Because I've got to go.
Shaun, listen, thanks very much for coming and joining us. Hopefully we can do this sometime again.
Yeah, I've enjoyed it, actually. I'll give you my bank details for the £100.
Post no checks. And everyone that's joined us, thanks very much, folks, for coming and joining us and getting involved. If you want us to do this again, drop us a comment down below and let us know. And if you have, we did share in our community pages and stuff that we're going to do it. If you have any questions that you want us to cover ahead of time, we'll definitely try and work it into the next one. If we do more, we'll try and work them in. So if you have any questions or if you want us to cover stuff, always drop them below. And make sure to check out Shaun's channel. Make sure to check out the Lawnright channel, 100%.
Thank you, guys.
Cool. Thumbs up.
Oh, okay.
Thumbs up. Happy days. Thanks
Catch
very
you
much.
again.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Cheers, guys.
Bye-bye. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thanks a lot. Bye. Bye.